Leah and welcome back to my kitchen. It's fall season and with fall season we have apples and with apples we make apple pie. So today I'm going to show you how to make the most delicious, hands down best apple pie ever, American style. And I'm going to use homemade puff pastry, yum. If you can't find it in the frozen section of your supermarket, you can use pie crust, which is easily found, or you can make it at home. So click this link to see how to make homemade puff pastry. And that's it, you need apples and some spices, and it's buttery and sweet and delicious. Oh my god, this is amazing. For all the recipe and the ingredients, look below the video in the About section. So let's start. First, let's prepare the apple filling. Peel the apples, cut them in half, then in quarters, and remove the core. Well, no one wants to eat the seeds. Then cut the apples in medium-sized cubes. You want nice chunks so when you bite into the apple pie, you can feel the apple pieces. In a large saucepan, add the white sugar, brown sugar, cornstarch, salt, and spices. Here we have ground cinnamon, ground nutmeg, and a small pinch of ground cloves. Whisk all these ingredients together, then add the water and continue whisking until well integrated. Place the saucepan on your stove and heat the mixture for a few minutes. Then add the apple pieces. Spread the apple pieces around, cover your pan, and cook for about 15 minutes. Stir from time to time. The apple filling is ready when the sauce has thickened and the apple pieces are done, which means if you try to cut an apple piece with a fork, you can do it easily, but at the same time, it still has a soft crunch. You don't want to overcook the apples, otherwise you will lose texture in your pie. Let the filling cool down completely before using it. Here comes the pie making. I am using homemade puff pastry, but you can also use pie crust instead. Here I have around 400 grams of puff pastry. Lightly dust your workstation, pastry, and rolling pin. Roll the puff pastry and place your pie pan in the center to see if it fits. The pastry should be wide enough to cover the sides of the pan. When ready, place the rolling pin on the edge of the pastry and roll it along the pastry. Put the pie pan underneath and roll the pastry in the pan. Remember, you have to work quickly with puff pastry because it gets sticky when it becomes warm. If so, just put it in the fridge for 30 minutes before continuing to work with it. Gently place the pastry in the pan and make sure it covers all the sides of the pan. Then press on the edges or use a knife to cut the excess pastry around. Prick the base of the pastry with a fork, then put it in the fridge while rolling the rest of the pastry, which is around 200 grams. As before, dust your surface, pastry, and rolling pin and roll it enough to cover the pastry pan. Take your pastry base that was in the fridge, of course, place in it your apple filling that is now cold, and I emphasize cold. Brush the sides of the pastry with water so they become sticky and roll the second pastry on top. Et voila! Press the edges of the pan to cut excess pastry and have a perfectly sized top. The final step is to make an egg wash, which is just egg yolk and a little bit of water, and brush the top of the pie. This way we have a beautiful golden color when baked. Place the pie in the fridge for 30 minutes before baking it. In the meantime, if you are bored, you can do cute little decorations. Here I am rolling leftover pastry, then cutting it into leaves. Now I put them in the freezer for 10 minutes, then use the tip of the knife to make them prettier. Let's bring back the pie from the fridge. Put my little leaves on top, brush with the egg wash, put a little hole in the center of the pie for the steam to come out during baking, and do some little cute lines on the surface. To the oven, of course preheated, so you have to do that earlier, at 390 Fahrenheit degrees, which is 200 Celsius degrees, and bake the pie for 50 minutes or until you have a beautiful golden brown crust. Here is my baked pie. All I have to do is brush it with a little honey diluted in water to give it a nice glossy look. Let the pie cool down until it becomes warm or reaches room temperature before removing it from the pan. If you are using a pie pan, place it in a bowl so the surrounding circle falls down. And here is the perfect pie slice with crusty, buttery puff pastry and deliciously sweetly spiced apple filling. All you need is some whipped cream or vanilla ice cream for you to go to heaven. Bon appétit!